Host friends, welcome to another one in our Waza Wednesday series. I'm Tom Swiss, the instructor at the Catonsville State Karate program, and today what I want to talk about is using the big stick. The bow staff, this is about a 6-foot long bow staff, is a basic weapon in karate and in a lot of other martial arts. But it's interesting that over the past few years, Filipino martial arts have become very popular. It's great. They're fantastic arts, and Filipino arts are kind of based originally on a short sword, a machete type sword, and they realized that, well, we can just give people sticks, short sticks around that same length, and they can practice with those, and it's a lot safer, and it also is a nice stick fighting method. However, those sticks are a lot shorter. Now the thing about these is, of course, that you have two, and what this means is that on camera, in television and film, it looks really good, right? You've got two sticks here. This is actually a boy move. Okay, just to show something. But it's become almost a cliche that in a fighting scene, the hero, protagonist, picks up a broomstick or something and goes, and then suddenly has two sticks and goes at it with that. This is a really dumb idea. The whole point of having a weapon, or one of the whole points of having a weapon, is to extend your reach. So if I just took a nice long stick that I had where I could keep the bad guy way far away from me, and I broke it in two, and now I can only keep the bad guy this far away from me, I have made a serious tactical error. As we said, the bow staff is about 6 feet long, but you're unlikely to suddenly just find like a 6-foot stick lying around. So we have that example of the broomstick, for example. I've got a dust mop here. Okay, let's see. That's maybe like 4 feet. Okay, and then we also have things. We also have sticks. This is just a 3-foot dowel. Again, just to kind of illustrate the length that we're talking about here. But sticks kind of in this range. They're long enough that you feel comfortably having both hands on them, like so. So if you get yourself an improvised weapon of that sort, let's take this dust mop as an example. So the most effective thing that you can do with this is poke somebody with it. Poke them in the belly, poke them in the face, poke them in the throat, poke them in the eye. Okay, a nice straight ahead strike. Now you'll notice I'm using the dusty end of this. This is going to be less sharp, less pokey, but getting this in your face, I could follow that up, with a kick or whatever. Boom. Nice effective technique there. We could use it this way as well. It kind of depends on what's on that back end there. Of course, a stick with something on the end of it is your most basic weapon of war, a spear or a halberd, a pointy thing or a sharp bladed thing on the end of it. Now I don't quite have that here. But for example, a rake, you might have something that's got some nice points on it. The pitchfork, well, great. That would be a great improvised weapon you could pick up. And you would want to poke them with the pointy end of the pitchfork, not the handle end of the pitchfork. All right? So when you thrust, pulling your weight back a little bit, turning that hip back a little bit, twisting the hip, moving your body weight forward. When we studied the bow, one of our basic techniques is, of course, an overhead strike. Now the problem with that is I just lifted this weapon up and left myself vulnerable there. So maybe not the most practical technique is an overhead strike unless you're stepping in after an opponent. So an opponent retreats and you want to press the attack, stepping in. And as I do this, I'm changing my hand so that my front hand is down, my back hand is up. The power actually comes from this front hand pulling down. The back hand, the front hand, just guides. Another effective technique, coming the other direction, a groin strike. So, swinging the bow underneath. Similarly, it's important to pull with this hand to really power the technique. and horizontal circles as well. What we sometimes call a butt stroke. I don't know, that sounds a little bit dirty. But swinging the bow using the butt end of the tip. Defensively, you can use small circular motions to block. I think I'm just about torn the head off of this poor mop here, actually. But you can use small circular motions to block. Don't use too large a motion. When you use too large of a motion, you're bringing the end of your weapon out of line. It's a basic fencing or bow or sword technique. You always want to come back to this home position. Same with your fist, right? If you block a technique, you got to bring it right back up to that home position. So same way here, small circle, right? More blocking. So that's just some basic techniques that you could use with an improvised big stick. So let me just again emphasize, do not, if you pick up a stick as an improvised weapon, 95% of the time, there might be a time when this rule fails, but do not break it in half and get yourself two short sticks. Use one big stick to keep the bad guy at a distance from you. Remember, distance is the key to defense. Ideally, you want to be about 3 miles away from the bad guy sitting down having a beer somewhere. But if that's not an option, try to keep them a couple feet away with a nice long stick. Thanks for tuning in. I know we've been a little bit neglectful in getting these Waza Wednesdays videos up. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that things have been a little bit more interesting than they really need to be. But hopefully we'll be able to get back on schedule, and we'll have another one of these for you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you then.